After reading the instructions for paper number 3, note that it is on central idea, it is on point of view, central idea, point of view, and also on symbol. So this paper covers the three main topics that we have been discussing so far. This is an unedited paper. I would suggest again that you read the instructions in module number 3 carefully. And notice first of all that this is a slightly longer paper. I haven't asked you to use Modern Language Association parenthetical documentation yet. We will do that in papers 4 and 5. Let's go over this briefly. Identify your paper. Come up with a nice title. I like this one. I am more than my sombrero. And it gives me a sense of where this paper is going. We're analyzing a story that you're familiar with, everyday use, Alice Walker. As you can see, punctuate the title. Make sure that the name of the writer is spelled correctly. Everyday Use by Alice Walker. We're going to do a very brief summary. What is it about? It is about a mother and her two daughters, Maggie and Dee, who have two different ways of appreciating culture and heritage. In this story, the eldest daughter, Dee, is visiting from college and arrives flashing a new name, Wangero Liwanika Kamenjo, and she is very critical about the kind of backward provincial life of Mother and Dee. Oops, there's an error there. Be careful with the characters. It's not Mother and it's Mother and Maggie, the daughter that lives with her. After claiming several of the family heirlooms, such as an old carved churn top made of wood, Dee proceeds, that's the eldest daughter, to make it clear that she should take these artifacts to display in her room, claiming that Mama and Dee, that's an error again, that Mama and Maggie do not understand their heritage. When Dee insists on taking the quilts sewn by their mother, Mama flatly refuses and says that these quilts are for Maggie, the youngest daughter who lives with her. Maggie, who is shy, says, "Let her take the quilts. I can remember Grandma without the quilts." That pretty much sums up the story. At least I'm taking the summary in the direction of my central idea. The story Everyday Use. Straighten that out. The story Everyday Use, Walker observes, that doesn't make any sense. So why don't we try in the story Everyday Use, Walker, now the verb fits, observes that heritage and culture are more than what you see as artifacts. It is what you do. I think this is a pretty good introductory paragraph with some edits. I would accept it. Now let's go into the discussion of point of view. As in the other paper that you just wrote, what is the point of view? How do we know it is that point of view? Be very careful here, because if you make an error, if you said, for example, that this was first person, if you said it was third person, then you wouldn't be able to support it here because it's not third person. In the story Everyday Use, the point of view is that of a first person narrator. or major character. I don't think it's or major character. I think it's and major character, because major character is not a point of view. Okay? So you can always read through your papers and you'll see that you'll find many things to edit before you turn them in. So it is point of view is that of a first person narrator and major character of the story. These are topic sentences. They are so important, as you learned in Comp 1, because they are going to provide coherence to the rest of your paragraph. You'll know that this is the direction, and now everything will fall under that. Now, the question still remains. That's the point of view? How do we know it is that point of view? It is first person. The story is told by the mother in the story. She says, I never had an education myself, and proceeds to tell the entire story from the I as a participant in the story. We can also see that she is a reliable narrator. That's also a characteristic associated with first-person point of view. Is the character reliable or not? She is reliable when she describes herself so honestly. This will be important because all we know in the story is what she shares with the reader. Mama's point of view defines how she feels about her daughters and how different they are. We get to see Maggie as shy, does not look as appealing as the older sister. She does not wear clothes, nor does she attract. She doesn't wear revealing clothes, sorry. Nor does she attract men as Dee does. Dee, on the other hand, right, is educated and ready to take on an adventure. Right? She describes Dee as stylish. She always prepared dresses out of Mama's old suits and is always up on the current styles. At least 2 or 3 reasons with some examples on why this is definitely a first-person point of view. Where do we go next? How about symbolism? Again, a nice topic sentence. In everyday use, Walker uses several content symbols that are symbolic only in the story, in the content of the story. So what are these symbols? And the next question is, how do we know these symbols are being used? Is it because they're repeated? Is it because they stand out? So let's see. They seem to symbolize these content symbols. They seem to symbolize how heritage is what you live and not what you hang on the wall as art. She uses, for example, the bench that was passed on to Mama from many generations. I'd be consistent here. If we're not going to capitalize Mama, let's not do it. All right? Onto Mama for many generations. Then there are the rump prints on the bench. They show the history of their ancestors. Mama and Maggie still use the same bench at their table because they could not find or not afford chairs. There's the butter dish that is also a symbol that was Grandma Dee's. The butter dish that was Grandma Dee's is also being used at the table. The churn on the top, the churn top that was whittled out of a tree by Uncle Buddy, still plays a large role in Mama and Maggie's daily life. Okay, all of these symbols are made of hardwood. They are strong and they are lasting, right? The main family items that Walker uses to symbolize heritage are the two quilts. I would rephrase that a little bit because these other things also symbolize heritage. The main family items that Walker uses to symbolize heritage, maybe the other family items that Walker uses to symbolize heritage are two quilts. These quilts are sewed. I'll check this word out. I think it should be sewn. I'll get it. I'll check it. From patches of shirts of past ancestors. And the meaning of these quilts are filled with history. Ooh, we have two complete sentences fused by a comma. What do we need? I think we need a comma. The churn top, the bench with their ancestors' rump prints, the dish, the quilts are all symbols of their heritage. All of these content symbols seem to establish that heritage is internal, used every day, and reflects who you are. Right? So now we've discussed symbol and we've discussed point of view. Now we have to connect these to the central idea. Are they appropriate? Do they reinforce the central idea? Do they somehow shed some light on the central idea? So always, topic sentence. The theme of this story is appreciation of culture and heritage. The author's selection of point of view and symbolism. Why did you capitalize point of view and not symbolism? Why don't we parallel them? And let's make this element of fiction also important and capped. The selection of point of view and symbolism are effective in reinforcing the central idea. Now tell me how. The author implies that within one family there can be two different ways to appreciate culture and heritage. Now, point of view. Having the story told from Mama's point of view helps to reveal how she feels about herself and how she defines her daughters, Dee and Maggie's, position on heritage and culture. This daughters here is meant to be plural. You could do this. You could make it possessive by putting a little mark on top of that. Her daughters Dee and Maggie position. I would restructure this sentence. Possessives and appositives together are going to present a problem. How could we do it? She feels her and how she defines. We know they're the daughters. Dee and Maggie's. Now we could make the last one possessive. Position and heritage and culture. Writing is constant editing. The first person point of view is effective because we can believe the mother and grow to dislike what the arrogant D stands for. Heritage is artificial. I like that. That's clever. The use of content symbols is also effective. This is a good transition. We know that this also is connecting to the previous discussion. The use of content symbols is also effective, is also an effective means to reinforce the central idea. All of the symbols that represent heritage are part of their everyday lives. Like the quills, they have a practical use. As Dee states, error, Dee doesn't say that. It's Maggie. As Maggie states, I don't need the quills to remember Grandma. The tradition of their lifestyle is an important role in appreciating their heritage. Maggie and Mama still live in like their ancestors did generations before them. They still use the family items in their everyday life. Heritage is internal and reflects who you are. That's so well said. I am more than my sombrero. About 800 words. Use your best writing, punctuation. I will read it, mark it, and accept it with comments or ask you to revise it. Send it to me on the due date, and then I'll tell you what is next for paper 4 and 5.